Hi, let's talk about Kadena, ticker symbol KDA, currently at $10.43. The chart looks quite nice. And so the cryptocurrency rose to market rank 77 with a market cap of 1.7 billion. Now, does it make sense to jump on this hype right now? What is Kadena? What does the technical analysis say? What are the potential risks and what are the rewards? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. And what you might have already noticed is the circulating supply over here. Kadena has only 16% of all of its supply already circulating. So 84% is going to be issued. So that hints to a quite high inflation, right? All of this additional supply might depress the price at some point. But when you look deeper into this supply will be released over the course of around 100 years. So the inflation rate isn't that bad actually. Kadena is another smart contract competitor. So it competes obviously with Ethereum, but also with Solana, Phantom, Harmony, Avalanche, all those smart contract platforms. And especially the ones that want to bring efficiency to smart contracts, right? That's the main problem with Ethereum right now. The high gas fees, the slow confirmation times. Kadena tries to solve this with their blockchain or with their parallel blockchain processing technology. And so before we dive into the charts, we will look obviously at the US dollar chart again. We'll also look at the chart valued in Bitcoin and valued in Ethereum. But before we're going to do this, let's quickly look at the backgrounds of the project. So the USPs are pretty straightforward, right? It tries to be a scalable blockchain, which is decentralized, so which doesn't have the problems of, say, Solana or potentially Phantom, where there are still single points of failures. It tries to solve all of this while having low transaction fees. And we are still very early in Kadena. And the reason why I say this is I couldn't yet find a decentralized exchange that's yet really useful. So there is Kadena Swap. And the USP of that decentralized exchange is very interesting. It tries to enable cross-blockchain transactions. So you've got these bridges to the different blockchains, and then you can instantly swap without wrapping those coins. Ethereum to Bitcoin, Polkadot to Cosmos, whatever it is. So you have this multi-protocol liquidity market. That's the idea, right? Right now, when you go to, for example, Uniswap, you can only swap tokens within the Ethereum network, right? Or you have to wrap your tokens and then you just get wrapped versions of, say, Bitcoin. You can't really swap cross blockchains. But here Kadena Swap tries to solve this. Now the article around this was released on September 29th of last year. This here is the interface. And unfortunately, we are still here on the test net. And so the assets you can select here are very limited, right? It's dummy assets, basically ABC versus XYZ. So this doesn't seem to be live yet. Now, when will this actually go live? That's the big question of the day. So I looked at their GitHub repository, Kadena Swap, and here's the commit history. And this doesn't look like there's too much activity here, right? So it looks like Kadena Swap at least has died down somewhat. Now, there might be other reasons why the token currently is pumping, right? The price is developing quite nicely, but it's unlikely the Kadena Swap exchange. There must be something else going on. Now here's the price development, right? It looks very nice. Like any altcoin, it's increasing since beginning of the year, but Kadena definitely has something going for it. This is a 67x since beginning of the year. Since Bitcoin dominance started to fall, Bitcoin became less important as a fraction of all of crypto. The altcoins, they gained ground since beginning of the year. And so Kadena really profited from that. Now, how much did it profit relative to other altcoins? That's the actual question, right? And what we want to look at is not necessarily the relative performance to Bitcoin, but the relative performance to Ethereum. Because altcoins, they are highly correlated to Ethereum, more so than to Bitcoin. Altcoins, they really tend to move with Ethereum. And so when you take on more risk compared to buying Ethereum, when you buy something with a smaller market cap, something that's got a market dominance of 0.06% versus the 20% of Ethereum. When you buy something that much more risky, you need to have outperformance. And so when we look at this since beginning of the year, Kadena did see this outperformance versus Ethereum, a 10x outperformance. And that's exactly what we need, right? When times are positive for altcoins, the most risky altcoins, they should outperform. But what's also interesting here about this chart that divides the Kadena price by the Ethereum price, is simply how much volatility is in here. I mean, this is the beginning of the year, right? And we had this initial rally, say from bottom to top of a 7x and then another crash of 86%. So these are the magnitudes we are looking at here. This was not a smooth outperformance. This comes in waves. And so it's really hard to hold on an early stage project such as Kadena, where maybe the activity is even declining on some projects. It's really hard to hold on to this when the price declines like this. So we need to figure a way how to potentially trade this, right? How can we enter the market and exit the market at a point in time where we at least avoid the downtrends somewhat? And one straightforward way to do this is to use moving averages. So one idea, for example, is to sell whenever the price is below the moving average. So you avoid the downturn, and to buy whenever the price is above the moving average. So when prices tend to increase, when they tend to rise, that's when you want to be in the market. So you avoid the bear market and you're in the bull market. Now, the only question is, what kind of duration should we take for the moving average? And I think it makes sense to custom tailor this based on the volatility of the asset. So in this case, now we've got the 200-day moving average, and here we can already see this moving average is not very reactive, right? The price here is declining, but we are exiting the market very late. In fact, we are exiting after we have already come down 65%. And then when we enter the market, we have already come up by more than 100%. So you want to get something that's shorter in duration, that distills the bear market and the bull market a little bit better. And so we just shorten the duration here. And the idea is we want to enter the market relatively early and at the same time exit the market here also pretty early. So we are in for the bull market and out for the bear market. So let's further reduce this. And right around 55, we seem to have quite a nice moving average. So we are not in the market during this whole bear period, this drop of 87%. Then we are in the market for this rise of 130%. We are out again for this drop of more than 50, and now we are in the market again. Now you don't want to go shorter than this, because once you reduce the duration, you start to get bad signals, right? You start to exit and enter the market frequently. The volatility triggers random signals, and that obviously creates a lot of trading fees, right? When you trade on, say, Qcoin, for example, that's where Kadena is mainly traded right now. You still pay around 0.2% or so for each transaction. So when you go in and out of the market, say 10 times, you've got 20 transactions, that's 4% of your capital lost. So do this often enough and you lose a lot of money. And so you want to get this duration right, and 55 seems to be around correct. Now this shows that there's quite a bit of room to actually fall, right? We are now quite a lot above the moving average, and we would still consider this to be a bull market if we fell like this. But obviously the moving average is increasing, so what we can do is to try to extend this line somewhat, maybe around here. And then since it's unlikely we will instantly crash, we could see a pullback of maybe 30% or so, depending on how quickly we go down or how much we go sideways. So this is how I would time this right now. If you're interested in taking the risk of an early stage project such as Kadena, you're interested in the project, you're enticed by the momentum, I'd probably wait a little bit until we get some kind of a pullback or some kind of a sideways movement. Obviously, nobody can read the future, right? This could just instantly go parabolic from here. Nobody knows. The chart does look pretty nice, but there's always the risk, right? When trading volume is pretty high, and this is now the aggregate trading volume, it doesn't look very high on this chart because this is the Bittrex price. The history here is a little bit longer. If we look instead at the trading volume at Qcoin, we can see this elevated trading volume. So high trading volume can be potentially dangerous. It means increased attention, and increased attention means increased prices. Once attention moves to another coin, trading volume tends to decline, and that can depress prices. It doesn't have to, but it can. And so I don't get into Kadena right now. I would not blame you for doing so if you are willing to take the risk. The long-term outperformance does look fine, but just be aware the volatility is immense, right? The potential downside, at least temporarily, can be pretty high. And when you're buying right now, you are not buying after a big crash, right? You're buying in the positive momentum, and so anything now can happen. I think the charts here look pretty nice. I haven't yet seen the supporting fundamental evidence for this positive price action. But if you know what's going on, feel free to comment this down below. I think it would help everyone in the community to understand and to maybe get some kind of reassurance to get into the asset and to buy Kadena, maybe even for the long term. If you enjoyed this video, please give this a like. YouTube will then help to grow the channel. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos regularly. And since those videos are time sensitive, you might as well hit the notifications. Obviously, an analysis that's a few weeks old isn't as useful anymore. Last but not least, we've got a Telegram channel. We are more than 1,000 people now. You can find us either by searching for Bitcoin Strategy Channel within the Telegram app or simply by clicking the link in the video description. See you next time. Bye-bye.